Welcome to the cafe.
What is the word for that? Let's just say if we had an episode of Grey's Anatomy, it would be like the most lit one. Like nonsense. Where was that? In the beginning.
In the Beningi, there was God.
And the earth was moving over the water. I'm a failure at that.
Story synopsis.
Okay.
The most enticing story synopsis for someone who hasn't read the book.
Yeah, you see now that part. Like every time someone asks me a question like that, I just space. So I'm just gonna try and say what it's about without saying what it's about.
Yes.
So the Journals of He, first and foremost, obviously, is an erotic romance. First thing, I mean, just by looking at the cover, see for yourself, you know that it's gonna be lit. And it is steeped in love, obviously, and self-discovery in pretty much all of its forms. Hint, hint. In adventure and in growth. Yes, it's in growth. And it's told from the perspectives of the two hero characters. So that's Dominic and Dilia, but mainly from Dilia's side of things. And it talks about her relationship with her very first boyfriend and how that relationship both meets her expectations and deviates from it by a wide margin. So when they meet, that first encounter that they have it's non-verbal. They don't speak to each other, but it's very, very powerful. It sticks with them because
I felt it.
yeah,
I
felt it when I was writing it. Because funny enough, that hadn't been the initial beginning that I had. I didn't have it at that beginning, but
I was gonna get there.
yeah, I'll get there. So it sticks with them, and then for years, Delia only remembers bits and pieces of him because that moment was so impactful for her that she remembers the feeling and forgets like
The pictures.
yes. Because you know, like how Maya Angelou says that they'll forget the word you spoke, but they won't forget how you made them feel. So something like that, even though they didn't speak. And then years later, when she sees him again, she tells herself she's not going to let the opportunity pass her by.
Yeah.
Drama. And then more drama. And then bam. There. That's the best I can do without getting into it.
Yeah. I love the drama at the end. We'll get there. Okay. You said it's an erotica romance, right?
Yeah.
Where did it come? Where did it stem from? Was it influenced by friends, family, life?
I think it's okay. This is gonna be throwing myself out there, but it's mainly fantasy, without being very forward and beyond the PG. It's all these ideas that I would get when like my friends would tell me, oh, you don't know what I did last night. And,
Oh, yeah.
So they tell me all these things and I'm like, Jesus, what about me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Since it's not going to be as simple as me saying, God, bring him tomorrow, I'm just going to. So I put all the fantasies together and then like
if not gonna, God's not gonna give me
I'm
this man.
just-
I'm gonna make him.
Exactly. And it's like, it's not even all of one person. And it's not just about the erotic factor. It's romance and connection with another human being.
Yes.
So I put all of that together and I put it into one dude and I'm like, okay, let's make a story out of this. Because I was like, if I have nowhere to put it, because like I can't like readily go and just grab my friends together and say, hey, let me tell you a story about the things that I'm dreaming about.
Jesus.
It'll just be like,
Okay.
girl, are you
Slow
alright? Exactly. So then from there, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's make him a guy. Let's give him a backstory. Let's give her a story that ties into that. And then before you know it, big fat book.
A big fat book indeed, and I love it. So tell us about the book launch in Kenya. How did that go?
Okay, but funny enough, I never knew that Hirowe was in existence. Because Hirowe, it's the name. Okay, which book fair do you want? The first one or the Kenya one? The Kenya one, right? So, at the beginning of that, a publicist found me. She was just starting out just like me. And then she took an interest in the book that I was trying to put out. And then part of her shtick is to publicize as much as she can about my book and, in fact, books in general. And then somehow she managed to get in touch with a lady who is also an author, I believe. But then she gravitates a lot towards building reading culture in Kenya.
Okay.
So then, since their platform is
wide,
it is very wide. It's not just for African authors; it's for the whole diaspora, across the world. So then she's like, "Oh, hey, guess what? I have this author. She's South African, Ugandan. This is her story. Do you think it could fit with your theme?" And they're like, "Okay, emancipation. Absolutely, it fits."
Yes.
So now, because I am such a I haven't really grown into this book as much as it's very forward thinking. I was like, emancipation, like how? Because I was thinking, African stories, like inherently African stories, and the struggle and coming out of it. And she's like, no, emancipation across the board, including the emancipation of writers and how their stories go out of Africa and into the world. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go with it. Hope I get it right, because I was petrified. I've never ever had a discussion like that before. So then they're like, okay, the only slot they have is for a book launch, not for the proper normal book fair where you come and say, this is my book. And so then she hooked up with them, and they're like, yes, definitely bring her on. And then before you know it, there I am having Kenya. Hello, like it's not just here, it's there. And then the thing that made it so epic is because African culture in general, we're mainly very conservative. Doesn't matter which part of the world you are, African culture is generally very, very conservative. So now, imagine I make a splash like this.
Yeah, this. Remember when I first said to you the first time I saw your Facebook? I'm like, I've never thought an African author would write an erotica. I was rolling on the floor. I was like, why am I not having money in my bank right now?
That is how I felt when I put it out. I'm like, are you sure though, Daisy? Like, do you the first book is gonna be like this, the kind of stuff that's gonna make your parents literally come to you and say, what did Joburg do to you?
Come back home.
Exactly. So I was excited about it. I was nervous, obviously, because I didn't know how they were going to receive me. Because I've had situations where I know I had one reviewer who got the book, and then she came into it with preconceptions about what a black African writer would be writing about. So then her response to it was very, very visceral and very, why? Many, many questions about why is this woman doing this to herself and allowing a man to control her. And I'm like,
oh, okay, so we have those. We do have those. Sometimes I am that type of reader. Not in this book.
Yeah. So I thought they'd come and be like that because they were African. So
talking about reviews, where would one leave a review?
Anywhere where the book is bought, really. So Exclusive Books' website. And all the other stores, Bargain Books and Lotus Bookstore and Galakudu and Profound and many others. In fact, any store where the book comes from, you can leave a review there, or even on my page.
Your Facebook page.
Because then people at least will see it when they go onto the page, or even sending it to me directly, and I just
post it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you threw yourself out there for more than you'd like, but a little self-description
of like me in general. Let's see. So I'm gonna start with the mundane things, stuff that people already know.
Okay.
I'm a nurse. I am. Okay. I work with tiny humans, so that's babies only. Tiny humans. It's so adorable.
Is that like the official?
Nah, that's
okay. It's just Daisy.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I stole that from Grey's Anatomy. Somebody called them tiny humans, and from there I'm like, makes sense. Tiny humans. Because then you realize that when you're working with them, despite them not knowing anything about anything, you can just spot the distinct different personalities.
Yeah.
They're so adorable. And besides working with babies, the youngest of 4, the other 3 are also sisters. My parents are in health sciences, in fact, pretty much the whole family. Like the entire extended family, doctors, nurses, surgeons.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love reading, obviously. Love writing, obviously. Like words, their power, like even in music. Words. there's a power there. Like, even as simple as one word that you say can just hold a lot of weight. I love words. They're just so beautiful. What else about me? I believe I'm shy. Apparently I'm not. But the way I see it, if I'm in the right company, I bloom.
Okay.
If I'm...
Like a daisy.
See? Exactly. I'm pretty sure my parents knew what they were doing when they named me that.
Yeah, well, you can see the distinct personalities in little humans. I bet they did too.
Yes. And also, I'm a poet. I think predominantly I'm a poet. I like telling stories, but poetry has always held a far greater kick for me because, like, it's short and it speaks to a feeling in that moment, and it grabs you. It grabs you. I love writing it, even though I'm not really a fan of reading it, which is odd. But God knew what He was doing, so
It's not odd at all. I relate.
Gosh.
I love reading poetry. Like if I'm scrolling through, I take my page now, it's all poetry. But having a whole book on the shelf,
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I liken it to like reading the Bible. You can't read it cover to cover.
Right?
Yeah.
You're right, exactly.
You have to read it and owning it. I don't know, maybe one day. Maybe
mine. I'm about to publish.
Yes. I'm there for it.
Okay, speaking about poetry, the Dilia 12 Thursdays anthology. I see a pattern, like even in your page, there's a distinct way that you write your poetry. I've never seen it before. I'm like, where does this one come from? Which one is this one? What is it, like something that naturally happened, or was it something inspired by something else?
Both. Because then the very first poem, if I'm not wrong, is the one about 21 days, isn't it? Let me see. The very first poem there in the 12 Thursdays anthology is 352. So that's 3 weeks. That's the medical way that you write it. 3/52. 3 weeks. And 3 weeks, everyone knows, is 21 days if you include the weekends.
Yes.
So I remember the very first time my heart broke